to the Harley Mallet build. This is episode 4, and today we are talking about straps and covers. It's a two-parter, so grab a snack and get ready. First up, the straps. The supplies for the straps portion of this video include thin craft foam, a heat gun, a rounded something, I'm using a concrete forming tube, masking tape, preferably black or red, but we are painting over it either way, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Primer, I am using Plasti Dip for this build, black and red paint, and glue. Alright, so as you probably gathered, our straps are made from craft foam, but creating your own straps is not your only option. Instead, you could use belts or strappy harnesses or anything that you can find like on Amazon or in thrift stores. Pretty much all of Mikey's Harley costume is mix and match pieces from Amazon, and you could incorporate the mallet straps in just the same way. She just dropped a video over on Glam&Gore all about where she found all of her Harley costume pieces, so go show our girl some love on that video. Okay, so if you do want to make your straps from scratch, let's do it! Grab some craft foam. The thinnest option of kids' craft foam is what you want for these. So to start them off, cut your foam into even strips. You can make these straps as wide or as thin as you want. Mine are 2 inches wide, if you like that size. There you go. And then once you got it all cut out, you're going to want to shape them to have a slight curve to it before we just jump in there with paint. That is where our spare concrete forming tube from episode 1 comes into the picture. It is the perfect priming and painting base for our mallet straps. So get out your foam strips, your heat gun, and plug in your hot glue gun. The craft foam that we are using for the straps is 2 millimeters. It's very thin, so it's already pretty flexible as is, but applying heat will seal the foam and make it even floppier, which is great for shaping it around this tube. Then I'm just going to use a little dot of hot glue to hold the foam strip onto the concrete forming tube. Just a little tiny bit of hot glue, 1 dot on each end of the strip, so that we can easily pop these guys back off later. Then it's perfectly set up to prime and paint these suckers. Like with the rest of the mallet, I am priming this with 2 coats of Plasti Dip. Make sure that you let that dry completely before coming back and adding paint. Then I spray paint the straps red. I originally went with a satin finish paint for the straps, but I later changed my mind and thought it would be better if the whole mallet had the same matte finish. So the final red that you see in the finished product has a coat of matte acrylic paint over top of the satin spray paint. Just FYI, making it up as I go over here. Once all your paint has dried, go ahead and pop them off. I loaded this tube back up with another round of these guys because I didn't know how many I would end up needing in the end. I ended up using 6 total pieces of 2 by 18 inch craft foam strips to make the 2 straps. Connecting the pieces together is just as easy as taping them together. Literally so easy. I'm just using black masking tape to do this. Once I connect the strips together, I wrap it around the mallet and mark where I should cut it to make it best fit around the mallet. I needed to cut off about 10 inches total to make it fit just right, so I cut 5 inches off of each side so that the tape was still centered along the strap. Pay attention to what you're doing, because if you don't...
Wait, did I already cut this? Yes, I did. Wait. Uh-oh. Oops. I was talking and No! I broke it. It's not a big deal. No! Alright, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tape it back with red tape, and then we're just gonna paint over it. We'll put it on the underside and hope no one can see it.
Shout out to my Twitch fam who watched me mess that one up. Oops! Also on Twitch, we decided to use the spare bit cut off from the strap, those 5-inch spare pieces, to make covers for the tape to make it a little bit more interesting to look at. This is something that I have loved about using Twitch so far, is that these covers were never part of the plan, but we just rando decided to do it, and it turned out to be an awesome detail. Those spare pieces of foam were just gonna be trash, but instead, I heat them up, shape them around the strap while they cool, and then glue them in place. I do this over all of the taped joints except for that one piece that we are not trying to draw attention to. You know, shh, don't tell anyone. And now we paint. There's that layer of matte red acrylic, and then we grunge it up. The grunge is, of course, a mix of black and brown acrylic paint followed by some intense dabbing with a paper towel. And that's it for the straps. The little bolts that we will stick on later come in the final episode, but in case you're doing all of your supply shopping now, they are just little wooden plugs coated in metallic silver spray paint. Alright, I want to take it over to the handle for a minute. It's been feeling some neglect since episode 1. For the cover section, you will need thick craft foam, a heat gun, quick sealing caulk, masking tape, a rotary tool with a sanding attachment or just sandpaper, and the usual suspects here, a ruler, glue, scissors, paint, and primer. The main special feature of this handle is that it's collapsible, right? And in order to be collapsible, that means it has to hook together in some places. When we melted our PVC back in episode 1 and mashed these pipes together, it made a fairly seamless connection point. But if you don't line it up exactly right every time, some of the wooden dowel could show through and give away your peg system, and that's not good. So, to disguise those connections and give the handle an extra level of detail and interest, we are going to make covers that hide each of these connection points. So grab your craft foam and get cutting. This is the same craft foam that we use to make the Glam&Gore logo, which can be easily cut with scissors or an X-Acto knife. Once you have a good sized piece to go around the handle, heat it up and shape it to the handle. Then, once it cools down, I apply contact cement to both of the edges and then stick them together. Because contact cement takes forever to dry, I end up just wrapping some hair ties around them to hold them closed while they dry. This turned out to be a great solution so I can work on something else while that glue hardens up. A rubber band could also do the same job if you don't have a million hair ties lying around your house, like yours truly. So, we're gonna make a bunch of these, 5 total. 1 bottom cap, 2 in the middle, 1 connecting the handle to the mallet head, and 1 smaller cap for the top. The cap pieces are made the same way as the others, but with 1 extra step. So, cut out the main piece, heat it until it's flexible, shape it, apply glue to the edges, and hold it together with a hair tie until it dries. Then we just gotta make the little lid for this piece. Trace out the size of the opening onto your foam and cut it out. Then I put glue both on the edges of the base piece and on the lid and connect them together until they dry. It's okay if the edges aren't perfectly lined up or if your circle is a little weird looking. We're going to sand it down anyway. So once it's completely dry, jump in there with your rotary tool and smooth out and shape your edges. Now we just gotta glue it onto the PVC. For the cap pieces, I just swirl the glue in there until my heart's content. And I also glue up the PVC piece. Anytime you can put glue on both pieces that you want to stick together, definitely recommend doing that. For all of the connector pieces, you gotta be a little more careful with how you glue the covers on. You'll only want to put glue halfway down into the cover. Remember, one side needs to stay loose and open so that you can still slide the next bit of handle into the peg system. And its match will be putting glue on the PVC part of this handle, but not the wooden dowel. The handle piece that connects to this one is molded exactly to the width and shape of the wooden dowel without glue all over it, so try to keep that peg clean. Be careful and take your time. Now we are ready for paint. Of course, prime all of your handle pieces before you paint. The easiest way for me to do this is sticking them on light stands and spraying them with Blasty Dip. I've also used an upside down stool at one point, like sticking them on the legs. Just get creative. There is a good chance that your covers might have gaps or edges like this one, especially since it's just made from gluing foam to itself. To fix that right up, I am filling up the gap with adhesive caulk. I prefer the squeezy tubes because you can just squeeze a little bit onto your finger and fill it in. Once the line is all filled in, it might look a little bit clumpy, so use a little bit of water to thin out the edges until they are a little bit more gradual. Once it's dry, paint the whole cover red. Actually, let's just go ahead and knock out the whole rest of the handle while we're here. The biggest thing that went into consideration for me when deciding how to paint the PVC part of the handle was that you're going to need to be able to really grip it and to spin it to disconnect the PVC pieces without it rubbing, lifting, or peeling the paint off. So instead of just putting paint directly onto the PVC, which could easily come off, I decided to base my handle in tape. It's both functional and decorative. Kinda great. I am using Expressions tape, which is basically just colored masking tape. It's inexpensive, it comes in many colors, and is available at Michael's. I got it in black and red. I tape up the PVC in the most random way that I could. I didn't want any kind of pattern for the handle, so I just stuck the tape wherever I felt like it. I want most of the handle part to be black since the covers are red, so I lay down the red tape first and then come back over it, covering most of it back up with black. Then I cut a whole bunch of diamonds to detail all of the covers. 3 diamonds for each, excluding the top cap since it's so small, so all in all, I made 12 diamonds. Cut them out, heat them up, form them to the curve of the handle. Prime them and paint them a matte black. Because I knew that I'd be doing a grungy paint effect on these, I wanted to make sure that we didn't lose the distinct diamond shape by having a black diamond with fuzzy black grungy edges. To break up the black diamond and the black grunge, I added a red border around the edges of the diamonds. Glue 3 diamonds on each cover. Then paint them with the same grungy black and brown paint technique that hopefully by now you feel like you've really mastered it secondhand just from watching me do it so much. Black and brown, paper towel, done and done. I also had just a little touch of red to the inside of the diamond. Then I just paint down the handle. Like I said, I wanted a mostly black handle with just a wee little bit of red poking through, so I painted a good amount black. If that's too much for you, reel it in a little bit, totally up to you. Alright, so now the handle is done. All that's left for this one is to just glue on the covers that are attached to the mallet head. I've just been painting them like free floating for now because it's easier, but yeah, glue those on. Speaking of glue, good segue into the next episode, the finale, all about glue. We will assemble everything that we have been working on over the last 4 episodes into one big finale piece in episode 5. Thank you so much for hanging in there for this long AF series, but I'm so stoked that you guys are appreciating and loving all the detail and love that has gone into this mallet and this video series so far. We are in the home stretch, you guys. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on watching all of this come together. I will see all you babes next time in the finale, episode 5. Alright, I'll see you guys then. Love you. Bye.